The I Am an Entrepreneur Summit is brought to you in association with FNB and our partners.
We have two business owners, Karabo and Temba, who've come on the show today to find out from our panel of business bozzers whose bank is keeping things real.
Temba, what does your bank cost your business?
You see, I pay R5 for the account and about 500 Rand for the payment device.
And you, Karabo?
Well, with FNB, their app turns my phone into a payment device, so our customers pay us on the spot. I also get Mahala Charge, unlimited card swipes, and a free business savings account that allows me to set aside money from my main account for future projects. Oh, and we can also withdraw money for petty cash at no extra cost from a Checkers and other retailers.
And the monthly account fee?
0 monthly account fee. That's why it's called First Business Zero.
Well, it looks like we've got a winner, ladies and gentlemen. It's obvious which bank keeps the costs low while running your business or even just starting up. One simple change makes a big difference. Switch to FNB, Bank of the Changeables.
Welcome to the 9th I'm an Entrepreneur Summit in association with FNB and our partners, Reno and ShopRite. My name is Andile Khumalo. I'm excited to be here. Today is our final summit of 2021. I'm all kitted up in my Bautu shoes, and you know why? Because later on, Mr. Theo Baloyi will be joining me live here in studio. I want to just start off by thanking our partners who have ensured that we continue to bring you meaningful and impactful content that has hopefully made a difference in your lives. What a better way than to end the year by taking stock of 2021 and planning for 2022. That is our theme today. It's really important that we take the time to understand, evaluate our own performances, see where we came up short, and find out where we can improve. Though it's been a tough year economically, there will always be those things that we have achieved, and deservedly we should give ourselves credit for it and celebrate. Additionally, we've seen the impact of COVID-19 on all of us. Perhaps we understand the impact better now, the risks better now, and importantly, we also get to see the opportunities better. It is time to now take stock and plan for a new start. And today, we have some exciting guests that are going to take us through this process. And without any further ado, let's dive in.
My name is John Sane. I am an international speaker and strategist. I work with organizations and governments around the world. I have never been to university. I now lecture at universities around the world. And so for me, all my education has come from YouTube. So I am an avid, informal student and education that's been derived from topics that I am fascinated with. So the commitment I've made to myself is to have at least 1 hour a day of walking and listening to a lecture on YouTube or on a podcast that allows me to grow my brain, think about things differently, and sometimes to even hurt my brain. And the reason for that is that if your brain is not hurting, you're not learning anything new. And so the first time you hear of something and it doesn't make any sense, you're on the right track, because by the 12th time you've listened to it, you're like, okay, now I'm starting to understand it. So for me, it's all about informal education. I think the fact of going to university or getting a college degree or getting a paper behind your name is important to get a job. We're not in the job market, we're entrepreneurs. And in entrepreneurship, you need to be agile, quick, change, focus, think about new things, learn new things. And I think the word agility is thrown around a lot, but what actually agility means is that what we need to do as human beings is change the way we think about information. And by that, I mean, the people of the future that will be successful are the ones that are going to be able to unlearn and relearn subjects as quickly as possible. We can see with the pace of NFTs, metaverse, digitization, there's so many new terms that have been thrown around the world right now, is that we need to throw ourselves into the deep end of being educated as often as possible, if not daily, on what's new. So as entrepreneurs, as much as it's important to keep the cash flow of your business right, or whatever those sort of basic requirements are, I think a much more important process for us to do is to be educating ourselves continuously in the process of preparing for an unknown future. I call myself a futures strategist, and there's a plural on future. I don't call myself a future strategist, I call myself a futures strategist. And why do I do that? I've specifically chosen that S at the end of future because I want to let people know that there isn't one future. There are multiple futures, and you can choose which future you want to live in. If your future that you're moving into has got lots of corruption in it, and has got lots of competition in it, and has got little money in it, that's the future you've chosen to go into. And other people don't have those issues. You know, some people never come across corruption because in their world, in their head, that's not what they're looking for. And so we also have to take this understanding that we have a responsibility and a choice as human beings to focus on what we want to focus on. And if we keep focusing on rubbish and bad things, our reality becomes full of those. So if I think about how hard entrepreneurship is and what gets us through the tough times is our ability to keep going. And what gets us to keep going is a fascination with a topic. And the fascination with the topic gets us to dive deeper into that topic, expose ourselves more to that topic, and in that process, become specialists and experts in that topic. So if you're not fascinated about your topic, and I mean truly fascinated, and the best way to describe being fascinated is when you lose time. You know, when you do something that you absolutely love and 3 hours feels like 5 minutes, now you're on mark. Now you're actually going. If you have to think about the fact that I have to go and think, I have to go and read this, or I have to go watch that, oh, I'm so tired. Wrong subject. Wrong subject. Stop doing it. Like if you had to tell me, I'm going to give you R1 million, go study accounting, I'd say keep your R1 million because I hate accounting. I don't know what the hell is going on in an Excel spreadsheet. I don't want to know what's going on in an Excel spreadsheet. I can tell you stories and I can do strategy sessions because that's all I listen to and that's what I think about. So my business is always based on my fascinations. As entrepreneurs, I think the most important thing we could do is to start thinking in global terms. Stop thinking in South African terms. Start thinking in internet global terms, because you in South Africa has the same opportunity as an entrepreneur in Chicago. Why? You're both selling to the same market. And so if we just think about ourselves as a global citizen and that the market is borderless, the way we design businesses and what we think our services need to be changed dramatically. And so for me, that's why I live between Dubai, London, and Cape Town, because I want to live a more global life, to have access to more global thinking. And that's the big thing I want to always bring to South Africa, is that stop thinking about yourself as a South African entrepreneur. Think of yourself as a global entrepreneur. First habit, heal your painful memories. If you have an issue with anybody in your past, heal them. Why? Because what will happen is that lingers and steals energy from you. Heal your painful memories, release them. 2, expose yourself to new information as often as possible, daily, if not twice a day. 3, experiment, try new things. Theory just inside your mind is theory. What you want to be doing is practically putting it out and trying new things without having absolute outcomes necessary. So always heal your past, engage with as much new information as possible, and practice as quickly as possible to see if it works.
He is a top-selling author. He's a strategist. He's clearly a global entrepreneur. John Sene, thank you for those words. And I really did enjoy his point about thinking globally. And that's something we suffer a lot from as South African entrepreneurs. We often think of business in our little community, wherever we may live. We think perhaps in our little province, in our little country. And yes, in relative terms, South Africa is little. We gotta think globally. Thank you so much, John Sene, for that. If you guys are joining us via YouTube or Facebook Live, please join the conversation by posting in the comments section. You'll see it there, bottom of your screen. If you want to be on Twitter, tweet us at IAAESA. Use the hashtag IAAE Summit. And for those that are joining us on the data-free stream, yes, mahala gratis, please send us a WhatsApp, 078 3500 768. Up next, we will be sitting with our managing director at I'm an Entrepreneur. Her name is Ms. Kitumetsi Lekaba. She gives us quick fixes, quick on the draw. Of course, her segment is called The Business Doctor.
Hello, entrepreneurs. Welcome to another word with myself, the business doctor, Kitumetse Ligaba, MD at I'm an Entrepreneur. Today, I'm going to share with you guys 10 lessons that I particularly think were very important that was shared by other entrepreneurs throughout the year and that we can use ourselves to plan for 2022 and plan for our future and our own businesses. Number 1, have a solid business model. You don't leave money to chance. Make sure you have a predictable path to revenues as well as profits. Number 2, funding is not a business plan. Some companies honestly don't need funding. You need to increase your sales so your business can make enough revenues and enough money to sustain itself. Number 3, be adaptable. I think the pandemic has taught us you need to adapt to the environment in which you are currently operating in. Number 4, when seeking for funding, very important to evaluate your HAS. We call this the HAS model, H-A-S. H, history. Do you have history and traction to prove to the funder? A, affordability. Can your business afford the type of funding that you're looking for? And S, security. What security are you going to give to the funder to ensure that he is satisfied that you are going to pay him back all the money that you are seeking for? Number 5, build a team that has complementary expertise and experiences to complement your own. We often want to employ people that have the same experience and expertise as us, but however, you need to build a team or find a team that's going to complement you as the entrepreneur. Number 6, know your customers. Always apply KYC. Know your customers. Listen to your customers, research their needs, and turn that research into a business model. You know I always say this. Research, research, research. Number 7, use technology in your businesses to help you run effectively and efficiently. Number 8, don't ignore your cash flow and financial management. Revenue is an idea, but cash is king. And you always have to make sure you have the right resources to help you in your cash flow management processes. And be compliant from a financial management perspective. Number 9, always pursue quality. Let your work and your business speak for itself. Number 10, believe in your own greatness. It all starts with the mindset and leave no opportunity to chance. With that, good luck in your business planning and wishing you all the best into 2022.
What would we do without our own resident business doctor? Thank you so much, Kitu. We look forward to more pearls and insights in 2022. Remember, guys, if you want to join us, share your thoughts, and even maybe right now, start sending me some of your questions you might have for Theo. He'll be joining me live in studio later on. We'll be talking about the journey of Batu, and we'll be talking about his 2021 and his own plans for 2022. We all know how busy he's been. Just come back from Nigeria, won yet another award. So send me those comments on YouTube and Facebook on the comment section. If you're on Twitter at IAAESA, using the hashtag IAAE Summit, and on the Data Mahala stream, send me a WhatsApp 078-3500-768. I get all those messages here, and I'll be able to ask all of our guests any questions you may have. Up next, my good friend and world-renowned journalist Jeremy Maggs sits down with a performance coach, Rob Yates, and they're talking about how to unpack performance and also some of the tools that you and I could use to understand our own performance from a personal perspective, but also a business perspective. Check it out.
Today on The Changeable Show, we're looking at bankable ways to keep your business on the go.
I'm at Shukushuma Enterprises where the team are stuck in an intense brainstorm.
We can't be a scooter business with a skorokoro payment device, people. I need ideas.
Well, we could switch to FNB, where you can turn all our phones into payment devices.
That way we'll be able to generate QR codes using the FNB app so that our customers can actually scan to pay right on the spot.
And if we're on the go, we can even send the QR code on an invoice or via message so our customers can pay wherever they are.
And the funds reflect immediately, which means we can keep track of our business transactions.
Exactly.
Wait, I got it. We could switch to FNB and I can turn all your phones into payment devices. No manini, no magopi.
But that's exactly what you just said.
Yes, but you guys didn't say no manini, no magopi.
Hey, Malum is a genius.
Hey, no manini, no One simple change makes a big difference. Switch to FNB, Bank of the Changeables.
Make the mood in the all-new Renault Kiger with multi-sense modes.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Viewpoint, where we try to unlock the secrets of successful people, to help entrepreneurs with real-life valuable tools and examples that you can apply towards building your own successful business. I'm Jeremy Maggs, and in today's show, we're going to take stock of 2021. We're going to look forward to 2022 in terms of coaching, in terms of learning, in terms of planning and plotting the way forward. And who better to help us do that than high-performance coach Rob Yates. Rob, a very warm welcome to you. And I want to start with this. It makes sense, I think, for you to give us the link between sports performance on the one side, where you have worked, and how that then has migrated into business performance and helping entrepreneurs. Where's the link, I wonder?
So I think it's around a similar journey and similar time frame. I think that's and similar human requirements within that. So if you wanted to be a Springbok rugby player, you'd probably get identified at somewhere around the start of high school as having some talent, and you'd play some rugby through school, and God willing, you don't get injured and you get to go to Craven Week or something. You know, there's that logical progression through to becoming a Springbok. But that may well take 2 decades to become a Springbok. That is going to require a lot of blind faith in a lot of regards in doing the right thing, and a bit of luck. And I know you can engineer luck, but you know, it's going to require some luck. And it's going to require that resilience of, just like a business owner, you know, a rugby player performs, if they're lucky, for 80 minutes on the field in a game. Most do 60. But there's months of training and off the field stuff that you're doing. And that's the same for a business owner. You know, sure, they grow a business and make some sales, but they've probably spent, I don't know, hundreds more times building it, designing it, so on and so forth.
So you're talking about the value of time, but often entrepreneurs are people in a hurry. They don't have time. They don't want to let the situation percolate.
But I think you have to reality check yourself. Like, what do you want to achieve? Jeff Bezos set up Amazon, I think in the late 90s, 98, somewhere around that, in the bedrooms and garage of his home with 36 employees. The only room that him and his wife had was their bedroom, and even their ensuite got used by the employees. I mean, if you look at his story. And I often think entrepreneurs want Jeff Bezos type rewards, but the guy's been at it for 24 years with one business. He hasn't ridden multiple horses at the same time. He's chosen one business idea, one concept, and he's pursued it.
I'm reminded of that old line, it's taken me years to achieve overnight success. And I think that applies, doesn't it?
It applies so much. And nobody's going to thank you. I mean, these are just realities. You're the business owner, so nobody thanks you. You may have to test and fail hundreds of times before you find that one thing. That doesn't mean to say that you won't make any money. It just means say you haven't found your sweet spot yet. I was at a conference in Nashville, Tennessee a couple of years ago, and the guy who hosted the conference, he said, you know, this is my 165th business attempt. That was it. Okay, now he makes $100 million a year. And he's 38, but he started this journey when he was 20. He's tested 165 business ideas. He's made some really good cash along the way. There's no doubt about that, but it's been a roller coaster.
And that's a good example of what you mean by resilience. And that's where the interface between great sports people and great business people actually collide.
That's it. And there's risk in sport. Like myself, I got injured. So many sports people get injured throughout their career and never get to go and see that potential into full reality, be it a medal or whatever it may well be. Well, business is the same. I often think entrepreneurs can turn an economy around and change a country for the better, but equally they're the bravest human beings on planet Earth because they're willing to take the chance. However, shortcuts normally lead to catastrophe. If you are climbing a mountain and you come off the path, you expose yourself to even more risk.
Rob Yates, your story, you said you were injured in pursuit of what?
So I wanted to be the world's best whitewater kayaker, and I got pretty good. And in the Himalayas in the late 90s, I had a big accident, and I don't know whether I drowned or not, but I have a very big piece of my life that's missing. And, after that, those who can't do teach. So I decided, well, I'm pretty good at this kayaking thing, so I'm going to start coaching. And then I found out that there's a world of difference to being good at something and being able to educate others about it. And that sent me down that rabbit hole of coaching and also sorting my own head out as well, because it would be fair to say my head got pretty broken in that experience. In that coaching journey, people really like coaches who've proven themselves in a realm. And I ended up coaching a guy who had a driver in the United States, some kayaking, and he had a big, powerful job. And he one day said to me, I want this crap where I work. I thought, great, I get to take all of your team kayaking and make loads more money because, by head I charge it. And he said, no, I want you with this methodology where I work. And I walked into one of the world's largest businesses at that point in time. It's quite funny, actually. I had to ask him how much I should charge. He said, how much do you make by the day at the moment? And I gave him a figure, very embarrassingly. He said, could charge that by the hour. So already he was the world's favourite person of mine. And I went and blew a whole load of money on a suit and turned up to find out that everybody was wearing shorts and golf shirts in the office. And I was completely out of place. And ever since then, I've moved. I still love sports. Sport's now my hobby. I do. My wife says I'm lucky to have that. Thinks I'm the only one of her husband's friends who earns money from his hobby as opposed to it costing him money. But this passion for business just took over me.
Let's talk about passion for business, because a lot of entrepreneurs are obsessed with evaluation at every point in their journey. What are some of the tools then that you use to guide performance metrics?
So I think the first thing is that it's impossible to evaluate performance unless you know what it is you want to achieve, because you've got to have something to evaluate against.
So a clear, definable goal.
Goals. Or goals, a series of. So you could start at 5 years and then chunk yourself backwards. And then I think that those goals have to be bigger and greater than just the business. I often talk about the business is a vehicle to take you from point A to point B in your life. And so this business isn't, sure, it adds to your ego, it adds to your bank balance, but it's facilitating far more than that. So you need to be able to say, what does this business bring to my life? Do I want to pick my kids up from school every day? Great. Well, my business model has to be of a certain type to achieve that. Do I want to live in X house or X place or whatever it may well be? Because the business facilitates all of that. And it's remarkably easy to work 14-hour days, 7 days a week. And I actually picked up a client who this happened to. He'd had some great business advice, and he'd done that 14 hours a day, 7 days a week for 3 years. One day came home, the wife and kids were no longer there. The wife had got upset, moved to Cape Town, left him in Joburg. Suddenly he's divorced. All of that money he's got split 2 ways. And it's because he only had a money business goal. It wasn't about that balance of life.
Something which entrepreneurs all too often ignore.
Yes.
Because apart from the divorce, it can also have serious impact on health. I think, though, in this time of the COVID pandemic, that idea of the balance maybe is starting to land a little more seriously with people, or at least one would hope so.
And I think it's critical as well. You know, if I look at that client who I picked up, he ended up losing half his net worth. So all that work for 3 years, half of it gone. His kids lived in Cape Town, not in Joburg. He had to fund 2 properties. Every weekend that he used to work, now he's in Cape Town seeing his kids and can't work anymore. You know, he's gone through the mental turmoil of the divorce, which took his business through a slump as well. And at the end of it all, he was probably 5% further ahead than where he was 3 years previously. So was it worth it? Would it be better to work smarter, work harder, spend less time on social media? Those are all questions that we have to wrestle with. There is no right answer. And it's not for our job to judge other people. Choose your own path and goal, but be careful what you wish for.
So how then, I wonder, does a business leader start implementing that change mindset in order to shift the business and achieve the goals and the balance that you're talking about?
So there's a Swedish psychologist, Ben Furman, who says that every problem you face is just a lack of creativity. And so I think you've got to get creative.
And find time to be creative.
Yeah, and make time to be creative. My business partner, Mark, he had a boss once who walked past him at 2 o'clock one afternoon, and he sat at his desk with his feet on his desk, just looking up at the ceiling. And the boss tapped him with his feet and knocked them off the desk and said, "Shouldn't you be working?" And Mark said, "Yes, but you pay me to think, not just do."
Oh, that's so important, isn't it?
So I think you have to build time to think, but equally build the space to think. You're probably not going to think well at your desk, in front of your laptop, in a bar, with friends, with music on. You probably need clear, open space and some time. Maybe even no expectation of yourself. I've just come across a methodology I created a few weeks ago where we'll probably grow Tetra Key by 800 to 900% next year alone. In fact, we'll probably become one of the largest coaching firms on planet Earth. But it came by going hiking near where my other house is in the Eastern Cape for a day and just wondering about, you know, the old adage, give your best away for free? I said, well, how could I do that? And what could I do to give it all away for free and then still grow and benefit off the other side? Well, I've been wrestling with that for years. You can't do that in front of the computer. You need space.
Just a final question to you then, as someone who has performed sport at the highest level, who has coached sports people, then taken that discipline into the business and I guess entrepreneurial space. At every juncture, I would imagine you have witnessed failure from people. You mentioned the example of the guy that failed with so many businesses. Intellectually, how does the entrepreneur deal with deep disappointment?
So I think you have to reframe the language that you use. And if you view it as failure, you're shooting yourself in the foot. If you were to purely view it as feedback, and you were to say, okay, so I've been on a journey for this length of time, and throughout this journey, maybe I could analyze what I've done. What have I done that's worked? And there's going to be things that have worked. Cool, let's keep hold of those. What have I done that has not worked? Well, knowing what not to do is as important as knowing what to do. There's a brilliant book called Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill that I've just finished reading. And in that book, they talk about all the traps of the devil. It doesn't matter what religion you are, go listen to it. It's an incredible book, or read it. And so you actually should treat that not successful yet as actually, I now know more what to do. I can go again. And the art of business is resilience. The art is picking yourself up and going again. Nothing else matters, I don't think, other than that.
Such valuable insight, high-performance coach Rob Yates. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you very much, Jeremy and Rob, for all of those insights. I particularly enjoyed the point around focus. And, you know, in all my time in business, I've not come across anybody who was involved in a million things at the same time and became extremely successful. And our guest later on, Theo Baloyi, is actual proof of that, of having had a very clear focus in one business and growing it, because there's only one of you and there's only 24 hours in a day. So I think the focus point is so important for great performance. But also the second point about making the time to think. You know, Rob made the point that you can't think in front of your desk. So I know someone that had a trick of scheduling in his diary thinking time. And the best thing that works for me is to do that first thing in the morning. So after a gym or a run or a jog, I would schedule time where I have no meetings, there's no admin in front of me, and all I'm thinking about is my business and the next thing that I want to do, or how I'm going to do a particular thing, as opposed to always getting stuck into the rut, because that doesn't give you the opportunity to step out and kind of reflect. And you need that. So as you go into the festive period and take some time out, this is a good time for you to have some reflection. So thank you very much, Jeremy, and also to Rob. Now it is time for my favorite feature, and this is me hearing from you, the entrepreneur out there doing great things. Here's word of mouth.
Hi there, my name is Tabiso Hlongwane. I am the founder of Greener Pastures Recycling Company. We are a youth-owned business that provides waste management and recycling solutions within the community as well as within municipalities and private sectors. Our clients vary from malls, shopping complexes and logistic companies, as well as within the communities with our buyback center that we just recently opened. What we do is separate waste at source, making sure we separate it from recyclable to non-recyclable material. What's great about our business is that we help our clients see value for their waste. That's why we provide a rebate so that they can generate income through their waste, which gives a bonus for them as well as the environment. The biggest lesson for me as an entrepreneur, as a young entrepreneur, is that compliance is very important. We tend to disregard it or even not see it at all, but it's very important. That's the only way that we're able to prosper and actually get opportunities to do jobs with other bigger clients and within the community. So I say, please fix your compliance, tax clearance, business profiles, banking accounts. Those things need to be in order. I am an entrepreneur.
Hi everybody, my name is Ribwani Mahada and I am the owner of Pick Pro Makeup Artistry. I offer makeup services to different production houses, agencies. I do weddings, graduations, photo shoots, basically anything that needs makeup, I can do it. What makes me great is that I'm a creative person, so I'm able to come up with looks on the spot whenever my clients don't know what they want. And what I've learned as an entrepreneur is that you really have to keep on working hard, because as a young entrepreneur, sometimes you think that, oh, once I get here, I'll be fine. But you forget that once you get to where you want to get, there's always something after that. My name is Ribwani Mahada and I am an entrepreneur.
My name is Desiree Rapepe. I come from Isusing in the Northwest Province. At Rapepe Glass Arts, we do sandblasting. We also do recycling. With recycling, we make photo frames, we make business card holders, cell phone stands, and watches. What makes me great is that I'm passionate about what I'm doing. I love what I'm doing, working with glass. Glass is not everybody who's doing it. There are few people who are doing glass, so it makes me feel great, especially as an African woman. The biggest learning as an entrepreneur is that we need to be patient and we need to love and have passion of what we are doing. I'm Desiree Rapepe. I'm an entrepreneur.
Hello there, my name is George Rudzani Nesengani, and I'm from the company called GP Brand and Print. We are 100% black owned, half female, half male. My partner's name is Patuani Ravele. What we do is printing. If you can imagine it, we can print it. We print anything as big as a billboard to as small as a pencil. We do large format printing, we do fabric printing like t-shirts, caps. We also print on mugs, and we also print on stationery. This is a mouse pad. Yeah, we are based in Soweto. What makes us great is that we pride ourselves in every single project that we find ourselves doing, whether it's big or small, whichever amount of work quantity it may be. The excitement has been there from day one till now. The biggest lesson as an entrepreneur is patience. And without patience, you can never go anywhere in this business. Hi, my name is George, and I am an entrepreneur.
How cool is that? You know, if you're not inspired, there's something wrong with you. I really do love these amazing businesses we have in our country from all corners of our country, in various industries as well. Congratulations, you guys. And we'll continue, even in 2022, to feature you and share with the community who you are and what you do and how people can go about and buy your products and services. It's that time of the show where we take a short break, so do stay with us.
Mzansi, welcome back to the Changeable Show. Now, our contestant Keegan is in the final round competing for 1 million rand.
Okay, Keegan, this is it. For 1 million rand, what can you do for your business on your bank's app?
I don't want to risk it, so I'm going to call my banker.
Keegan's calling his banker. Relax, he'll pick up.
Unfortunately, all our bankers are currently unavailable.
Hey son, Masakant, clearly you're not with FNB. If you were on the FNB app, you could chat securely Nama business bankers 24/7. Change your PIN, block and unblock your card, make payments, all on one app. Switch to FNB, where one simple change makes a big difference. Switch to FNB, Bank of the Changeables. Switch, man.
Seeing my product in the shop, it makes me want to do more. I went into the veggie department. There was an old lady pushing a trolley, and she went there. She took the packet of green beans. She looked at it. She says, "No, I want 1532. Where is 1532 here? Because I bought it last time. It was so nice." And I was just close to her, and she didn't know that it was my green beans. Then I was so excited about it. She left the other one and go. Really, this is a true story. I've seen it with my real eye. Before I had my own farm, I was a foreman around Hazelview. While I was working at the fresh produce there, we had a shortage of spinach. I took that advantage and went home and started planting out of a backyard. I've started to supply my previous employee. A lot of hard work, yes. I've managed to save some money while I was working there because the money for the spinach that I was selling while I was there, all that money to come and buy a farm. Shop right into Shilekudu gore ke be le yona on board because gona jale ke kgona go lema ke supply ka nako and e tšee stock sa ga ka kamkaso. Over the last 10 years, I've supplied Freshmark with over 1 million packets of green beans. We pack only the nice green beans. So all those broken one and the skew one, we give it to the orphanage. They say that the hands that gives is the one that receive a lot of blessing.
Make the mood in the all-new Renault Kiger with multi-sense modes.
As hard as the year has been, the stories of great entrepreneurs in South Africa is really inspiring. Thank you, all of you, for joining us throughout the year, and hopefully we look forward to being with you in 2022. Remember, we'd love to hear from you, so do send us your comments and questions, especially some of the questions you might have for Theo Baloy, the founder of Batu. He's in the building. We'll be chatting to him about his 2021 and also his plans for 2022. Also, reflect on your 2021. How's it been for you? Tell me, share with me, give me your thoughts of how you've survived a tough 2021, and maybe let me in on your plans for 2022. If you're on YouTube and Facebook, you can go to the comment section and tap away over there. If you're on Twitter, hashtag IAAE Summit. Our handle is at IAAESA. And if you're on the Data Free stream, send me a WhatsApp 078 3500 768. Now, our partners at FNB have got some great products that are critical to helping your business grow. Kitumetse sat down with Mabato Letwaba, who is the FNB Commercial Insurance Product Specialist, to give you and I an idea of what FNB can do for us in 2022.
Hello, I am the business doctor, Kitumetse Lekaba, MD, and I'm an entrepreneur. As we look ahead, one of the things we really need to look at, or one of the things we really need to consider, is insurance for our businesses. And today, I am not alone. I'm joined by Mabato Letwaba from FNB Commercial Insurance, who's going to tell us how FNB can help you. Hi, Mabato.
Hi, how are you doing, Kitumetse?
Good, thank you. Tell us, why do you need insurance as a business?
Well, as we all know, uncertainties are a part of life. They'll always be there, and no business is immune to these uncertainties. So anything could happen to your business that would result in you guys having to either shut down or stop operations. And we know what happens in those cases. It affects you, it affects your employees, and it also affects the companies that you purchase from and that you sell to. And having insurance is a way to have a layer of comfort so that should anything happen that is unplanned and unforeseen, you're able to resume operations and that you won't be affected adversely.
How do I know what insurance is good for my business? I mean, some businesses are in service industries, some businesses are selling goods and services. So how do I really know what insurance should I take?
The important thing to know in that instance is that you have to have an intricate knowledge of your business in particular, as well as the risks that you're exposed to. It's not enough to simply know the risks of that industry, because there are little bits and nuances that could be specific to your operations that you would need to mitigate for. If, for instance, I had to use a practical example, you look at a business that makes and sells candles, for instance, or versus a business that would be delivering those candles. Those two specific businesses would have such a variety of risks and exposures that they would need to mitigate against. So if, for instance, I am the maker of the candles and the seller of the candles, I would have to think about so many things. If I'm in an industrial type of space, do I own the building that I operate out of? And if I don't own that building, is it insured by my landlord? Have I insured my rent in the event that I can't operate? And my landlord says to me, I still want my rent because I'm not, because I'm still using the space. And then you have to look at insuring your raw materials that you use to make the candles, the equipment that you use to make the candles. Obviously, equipment failure means that you cannot operate, which sets you back. Also look at insuring your packaging, because if your packaging isn't right, you can't sell, you can't move your product, it's stagnant. So those are the things that you would have to look at insuring. Once you get to things like, I do own the building, is the building itself insured? Right? Now that you've got your product, it's been made, it's been packaged, it's waiting to go out. You're going to either use your own delivery service, or in most instances, because businesses can't take on that extra risk, they would then use the services of a delivery company.
Outsource.
That delivery company would have such different risks because they've got trucks on the road all the time, or vans, or even just plain vehicles. Those need to be insured. One truck is out, you're out, 10 deliveries a day? That's money that you're losing out on. You're also responsible for third-party goods. And are you then able to either, replace the money for goods that are damaged, or goods that don't make it to the third party, or are you able to replace the goods, period? So you always, you need to look at where your biggest risks are, and that will help you to determine what what insurance you need. And again, it's always great to have an insurance broker. And that's where F&B insurance brokers, I think, comes in very, very handy, because we know the risks associated with the industry. We know the covers that you need. And we're then able to say to you, XYZ would be applicable, whereas ABC wouldn't.
be. Okay.
But again, we take our lead from you as the client.
Once I have this insurance policy, how often should I be reviewing it?
The standard is to review insurance policies once a year, although we do advise that anytime there's a major shift in your business, you have a review of where you sit with your insurances. So if you acquire another entity, for instance, you obviously have a greater exposure. You need to make sure that they're insured. Or if you sell off some items, your sum insured is obviously not as high. And what you want to try and avoid is having, is paying too much for insurance that you may not need. And the absolute worst thing you don't want is to ever be underinsured. Because in as much as you have the values that you declare at renewal, if you're making massive acquisitions in between and you haven't declared those numbers, insurers are going to say to you, this was not a good picture of the risk. This is what we rated the risk on, and therefore the risk will be adjusted to cover for what the loss is versus what you should have been paid in totality.
Sure. And outside of the normal business insurance and asset insurance that we know, what other insurance products should I be considering as an entrepreneur?
So if you have a business that's heavy on employees, because not all businesses operate the same way. But if you have a business that's heavy on employees, you might want to consider a product such as group personal accident, where your employees would be covered for death, accidental death or disability, be it temporary or permanent. They'd also be covered in the event that they lose a limb, that would affect their ability to work. Firms, for instance, that are advice heavy, we would recommend that they have professional indemnity insurance. So if you give the wrong advice to a client and they suffer a loss as a result, you would then be able to claim from your professional indemnity insurance, because that's what it's designed for. And then again, you've got businesses that are fortunate enough to have a board of directors. That board of directors is going to make decisions. They're going to steer the company in a certain way. And if any of those decisions have a fallout or result in something adverse happening to the company, those directors can be sued in their personal capacity. And that is where your directors and officers policy would then come in. But again, covers such as your directors and officers, they're very intricate and they're very complex. You would need someone to talk you through it and to help you understand the levels at which your board of directors would be covered. And that would be past, present, as well as future directors.
And lastly, does F&B have any specific products for small businesses and entrepreneurs out there?
Oh, we definitely do. So F&B Insurance Brokers has a product that is turnover based, and that can be used, all the way from your very small businesses all the way to the mid-corp level. And what happens with that product is that once you've got your turnover put in as your main sum insured, we then use a percentage of that turnover to determine what extensions you need and what extra covers you have. And that is how the product is then packaged. So, a business with a turnover of 2 million per annum won't obviously have the same limits as a business with a turnover of 50 million per annum. Again, the products won't be the same either. And that's where our First for Business would come in. First for Business goes all the way up to your mid-corp sized entities. And that's just, some of the products that we can offer as F&B insurance brokers.
Sure, knowledge is power. And thank you so much, Mabatu, for empowering us.
It has been my absolute pleasure.
Thank you very much to Kitu and Mabatu. Really important points around insurance, especially the point around being underinsured. I cannot stress further how important it is that you do that annual check in your business and make sure you are adequately insured. It becomes a big problem when you claim and everybody after the assessment realizes you're underinsured, because it also affects the kind of payout you're going to get, and it's typically much lower than you hope for. So please make sure you're up to date on that. And for all those guys that are in partnerships, you know. So if you've got maybe a PTY and you've got a couple of other partners, maybe 2 or 3 of you, please inquire with your broker about something called buy and sell insurance. Of course, you can also reach out to FNB, who I'm sure will be quite happy to help you. And what buy and sell insurance does is that it just protects you in the event that any of your partners may pass away, to ensure that there's an insurance policy that pays out to whoever the beneficiary of your partner's estate is, and that ensures you can continue with the business and not inherit shareholders that were not the shareholders you hope for as a result of the passing away of your partner. So there's a lot happening in the insurance space, and if you're not feeling confident about it, do reach out to FNB, and I'm pretty sure they'd be more than happy to help you. All right, up next, Hurisani Ravele tells us which books have made impact on her in 2021. And she's also recommending some good reads for personal development in the following segment on the bookshelf.
Hi, I'm Hurisani Ravele, and welcome to On the Bookshelf. For the past year, I've had the privilege of sitting down with some of the most incredible entrepreneurs as they took us into their bookshelf and within the pages of books that have really shaped who they are as individuals and as entrepreneurs. Today, I get to be in the spotlight and share some of the books that have shaped who I am, not only as a person, but as an entrepreneur as well. And it is such a pleasure. Let's dive straight in. This one, Destiny, Step Into Your Purpose, T.D. Jakes. I believe that all of us believe in something higher than ourselves, whatever that may be for you. And this book, for me, it really brought my faith together with business. And I know the two would never really link up, right? But T.D. Jakes writes the story so beautifully, the way he compares our destiny like flying an airplane, and that there are so many switches and so many parts to the businesses that we build. He talks about lessons on money and the fact that you will never be trusted with a lot of money if you can't even take care of the little that you have. And I think the lesson there for many entrepreneurs is the fact that you think that you need to be making millions to say you've made it. But if you can't even look after the 1,000, if you're not a diligent steward over the 1,000 that you have, over the 10,000 that you have, even if you made 10 million one day, you're still going to misuse it. You're still not going to run your business properly because you're not treating it as a ministry of your talent, because that's what a business is. It's so much more than just the product and the service that you're selling. It is your story, it is your talent, and by really stepping into your purpose and your destiny, you're just saying to yourself, I matter, and I can build on this, and I will be a good steward upon the gifts that I've been blessed with. And one of my favorite passages says, the overarching pool of destiny helps you accept events and circumstances that, examined in isolation, may look like failure. Upon deeper reflection, however, these seeming tragedies are the catalysts that shift you into your place of destiny. It has so many lessons about loss and failure. And we all know as entrepreneurs that sometimes sometimes we get tripped up. But when you look at these events in isolation, you think, I'm not great. But when you put them together, I'm sure right now there's something that you can think of that seemed like a failure, but it's become your greatest lesson that you have taken from every project you are in into the next one, into the next one. But had you not failed, had you not made mistakes, had you not stumbled, you wouldn't be where you are. So failures, absolutely love that one. Another one that I absolutely loved is Manuscript Found in Accra. It's by Paulo Coelho, who's one of my favorite authors. And what this book for me did was truly remind me to define myself and the beauty in who I am and what I know. Here's what I mean by it. I want to read this passage that says, when we look at a cedar tree, we don't think the branches should all be the same length. We just think how strong it is. When the camel crosses the desert and takes us to a place we want to reach, we never say, he's humpbacked and he has ugly teeth. We think he deserves my love for his loyalty and help, because without him, I would never be able to explore the world. A sunset is always more beautiful when it's covered with irregularly shaped clouds, because only then it can reflect the many colors out of which dreams and poetry are made. It's a pity for those who think I am not beautiful. That's why love has not knocked at my door. In fact, love did knock, but when they opened the door, they weren't prepared to welcome love in. They were too busy trying to make themselves beautiful first, when in fact, they were fine as they were. They were trying to imitate others when love was looking for something original. They were trying to reflect what came from outside, forgetting that the brightest light comes from within. And that's just one of the many incredible examples of how throughout this book, he speaks about different tales and he pulls on different lessons in each tale about owning who we are and our stories. It was such a profound book for me to read because I was young when I read it, and it's one of those books that I've gone on to suggest to every single person. Like if you say to me, which book must everybody read once in their life, it is definitely this one. It's a timeless book. It has so much wisdom. And I believe that as entrepreneurs, we often don't look after ourselves first. We're so focused on the business. We're so focused on everybody else being okay and doing okay. But if you're not okay always at the heart of yourself, nothing's ever gonna work out. So, fantastic book to learn about yourself. Last but not least, this is a book I've just started reading, and it talks about the courage to be vulnerable, transforming the way that we live, we love, we parent, and we lead. It's by Brené Brown. And Brené Brown is a psychologist who really focuses a lot on vulnerability and courage. And I was introduced to her on a Netflix series called The Call to Courage, and I would really encourage you to go and watch it. And she just opens up about the fact that we're not perfect people. We make mistakes, and we're also healing from a lot of things. And I don't think that in business, we are often taught to be vulnerable and to be okay with not being okay. And that speaks a lot to the mental health conversation that's been happening over the last 2 years or so with the pandemic. And with Daring Greatly, it reminds us to go to those places of us that are different, are soft, where you need to be more than just your business and really look at what generational traumas are you walking around with? Because that really impacts the kind of leader you are in your business. It impacts your ability to be empathetic to your colleagues, to those who work for you and those who work around you. And I think the businesses of the future are not just going to be those that balance their balance sheets, but it is going to be those businesses that also balance their inner things. I would say another word, but that rhymes with balance sheet, but I won't. So those are the books that I wanted to share with you today that have really shaped me as a person and an entrepreneur. And I hope that you have enjoyed all the guests that we've had on the bookshelf and that you will go back and watch all of the features that we've done throughout the year and that you'll just go out there and really continue to learn as an entrepreneur because it will never be enough. And learning in the shape of books is such a powerful way to do it. You learn from other people's stories and you'll be able to take the things that apply to you and go out there and continue to do great things.
Thank you very much, Hurisani. Clearly, it's going to be a reading December. There you go. Some really nice choices for you to pick from in terms of your holiday read. Let's pick up some comments that are coming through on the socials, coming through on YouTube, coming through on Facebook, and also on our WhatsApp line for the data-free guys. Opa Teleki on Twitter talking about the risk that was taken by Jeff Bezos all those years ago. And he says, and he took a hell of a risk, left a comfortable, well-paying job on Wall Street as an investment analyst, left the glamour of lower Manhattan, New York City, to a sleepy state, embraced an unfamiliar business model. Damn, man. Yes, I feel you, Teleki. At the time, it was also risky, but now I'm sure everybody looks back and go, oh, well, of course, it was always going to do well. Amazon was always going to be amazing. Not the case when you're starting out. And I see some comments also coming through on our WhatsApp line, Lo Ngoboto, highlighting how much he enjoyed the point about thinking globally. Welcome, Mapoloba, for joining us. Thank you again. Lee Bug says, this has been a very helpful and informative channel. Thank you so much. And Lufuno talking about the profound principle of the fact that things take time. All right? Things take time. So they say the best time to plant a tree is now. So this is the time to do whatever you need to do right now. Thank you guys for all the comments. Please keep them coming. Now, self-development is always critical. And given the year that we've just had as a whole world, we thought it's quite important that we do a little segment on mental health and self-care once again. This is important for us as entrepreneurs because we generally face high-pressured environments that take a long, long time. We sat down with Vio Dweba, a clinical psychologist, for some insights on how we as entrepreneurs can manage this.
Hi everyone at home or everyone in their offices, wherever you are. My name is Viwe Dweba. I am a clinical psychologist and mental health advocate practicing here in Johannesburg. And today I want to talk to you guys a little bit about taking stock of 2021 and preparing for 2022. I think it is safe to say that it has been a difficult year. It's been a challenging year. And as 2022 comes, I think a lot of us are actually still trying to process 2020. So there is so much happening in our heads. There's so much to think about as we're moving forward. So it's perfectly natural to be a little bit overwhelmed, to be wondering what the next steps are, or to be too overwhelmed to think about what the next steps are. So let's just check in terms of how everyone is feeling. Are you struggling to get out of bed? Are you feeling anxious? Are you feeling less productive? Have you been demotivated? Have you been tired? Have you been more irritable than usual? It's so normal to be experiencing these things. It doesn't mean that you're lazy. It means that you're just tired at the end of the year. There's a lot of end of year fatigue, so it's perfectly okay to be feeling like this. One of the things that we're also thinking about right now is where we are at this point. There's so much of what we hoped for that didn't go the way that we wished it would go. Because from March 2020, things have been difficult. Things have been unpredictable, things have been strange, and we've really just been clawing to survive these last 2 years. So I think it's important to take stock of where you are right now and where you hoped you would be, because there may be a big difference between those things, and that can bring up very disappointing feelings. One of the things that is incredibly important is to really acknowledge the losses that we've experienced in 2021, and these really started in 2020. These may be personal losses, such as loved ones, but these may also be business losses. A lot of entrepreneurs have lost their businesses, or their businesses have had to scale down or lost a lot of money. There's been so much loss, and that can leave us with a lot of feelings of grief. We don't only grieve over people, we grieve over, kind of the things we hoped for that haven't come to fruition. We grieve over the places in life where we thought we would be, where we didn't end up. So, taking stock of 2021, what have you learned? What have you learned from a personal perspective, your individual personal lessons? What are the business lessons that you have learned? Because this has been such a challenging time for absolutely everyone, especially for our entrepreneurs who have really taken a knock because the private sector took a knock. What are the health lessons that you have learned? Because health has looked very different in the last year or two, and that's because we've been dealing with additional stresses, unexpected stresses. And the last thing is, what are the relationship things that you have learned? How have you learned to be in relationship in a time that is so difficult, in a time where we've had to distance ourselves quite literally from our loved ones to keep ourselves and them safe? So as we prepare for 2022, there are some things that we need to think about. The first thing is reflecting on 2021. What are the things that you have learned? What are the things that you have taken out of the year? What are the things that you are moving forward with? Cleaning house. When I say cleaning house, I don't necessarily just mean this literally. I don't mean just sweeping your house, even though that's probably a good idea. I mean also doing away with unhealthy habits, unhelpful habits, things that have been harming you, things that have been getting in the way of where you want to be. And we need to do so realistically. This doesn't mean that we're suddenly gonna quit everything we've ever done, but it's about taking stock of what has not been helpful for you and making moves towards making healthier decisions. There's been a lot of having to survive, a lot of having to cope, and when we are in survival mode, we're not thinking health, are we? We're thinking about, how do I get through this moment? So take stock of that, think about it, think about how we can replace those with some healthy coping. Clutter in your home may be a really great idea, even though this is not necessarily an essential. If you have the wherewithal to declutter your home, do that. Often our physical space can represent something that is happening inside us. So that may be something that is very useful, but again, do not pressurize yourself to do spring cleaning or to turn your house upside down if you just don't have the energy for it. Setting New Year's resolutions is so important in terms of focusing a little bit in terms of what you're wanting to do for the following year. But it's so important to be realistic about it, because when we're unrealistic, we leave ourselves with so many feelings of failure. We leave ourselves feeling inadequate when we haven't actually set realistic goals for ourselves. So set goals, make resolutions, but be realistic. Remember that you're a person. You're a person who has been tired, who has been challenged. Put your game face on for 2021 and 2022. Remember that it has been a difficult year, but also you can move on from it. But right now, the most important way to prepare for 2022 is to rest. Rest is about removing yourself from the demands of life and the expectations. So do not pressurize yourself to be overly productive. Do not pressurize yourself to catch up. Often we can think, I'm gonna read all the books, I'm gonna go to all the social engagements that I didn't manage to go to. Do not do that to yourself. Be realistic with yourself. Rest is about not expecting things of yourself, and that is what is important to focus on. And lastly, I think that the kind of final thought I want to leave you guys with is you have survived 2021. You have actually survived. And there is so much that could have gone so wrong, that could have been tragic. And even if there have been tragedies, you have gotten through those. That's the most important thing. You've survived, and honestly, the rest is gravy. But that is all from me. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. I will see you on the other side.
Thank you very much, V. We're always so good to hear from you, Doc. And I really did enjoy the point around rest and how important rest is, but also that gratitude list, the things that you know you've achieved. If you don't think there's a long list, the number one on that list should be you survived. Because we, for the first time in our lives, had to live through a pandemic, and we're still here to even talk about it. That in itself is an achievement. Good luck to everybody as you wind down the year, but also as you start thinking about 2022. Now, word of mouth, I keep saying it's my favorite feature. I love it so much, we're gonna do it again. Here's word of mouth part 2.
Hi, my name is Danny Madulege, and I'm the founder and owner of Grubberg's Taste Bud Repairs. Grubberg's is about buns and sides. Started about 6 months ago off this very same pavement, and now I've built up my own grub truck. What makes me great is I build my own door instead of knocking on doors. I make sure I make things happen for myself. My biggest learning lesson is you could never be prepared for what happens next. I mean, you could plan as much, but unexpected things happen and you just have to sail through them. I'm Diani Maruleke, and I'm an entrepreneur.
Hi, my name is Sharon Govender from Art Wine Out. Art Wine Out specializes in personalized labeled wines for corporate gifting, weddings, and all special occasions. We also bring you the most fantastic boutique wines sourced from the Western Cape, as well as craft liquor such as gins, rums, vodka, and brandy. In the new year, we are looking at expanding into more interesting and exciting products. So make sure that you follow us on our social media. What makes Art Wine Out great? Just simply because we are a one-stop shop for everything you need, from your lovely boutique wines to team building events, as well as any special occasion that you want us to be at. My biggest learning as an entrepreneur is that we are warriors. Entrepreneurship is not for the faint-hearted. We wake up being a warrior, we go to bed being a warrior. And you must be willing to roll up your sleeves and do all the hard work. I am Sharon Govender, and I am an entrepreneur. Cheers.
Hi, my name is Sepa Apollos, founder of Clean Sweep Pty Ltd. Clean Sweep is a cleaning service company based in Johannesburg North. Our services include general household cleaning, cleaning of carpets, mattresses, as well as deep carpet cleaning. What makes us stand out from the rest is that we try to go beyond your expectations by also offering tailor-made contract leasing. Please feel free to contact us on 071-510-8394. You can also WhatsApp us on the same number. My name is Sepa Apollos, and I'm an entrepreneur.
Today on The Changeable Show, we've got two competitive best friends, Patrick and Eric, and they're here to settle the score on whose bank is boss.
Thank you, Jason! Gentlemen, it is time to put your faith in your bank. Question number 1. What does it cost you to bank with your bank? Eric.
That's easy. 5 rand a month.
I was Coco. Did you actually look at that statement? Did you consider how much you pay each month? And up and down to the bank, the petrol. A month, that's close to 100 rand. Do you get anything back? Askis, I'm sorry. Abuti Patrick?
With FNB, I can get up to 3 times my monthly personal account fee back in value, which includes data rewards on my FNB Connect SIM.
Well, Nana.
What?
So then it's obvious. The B in FNB stands for Boza Bank. Join us again on the Changeables Show, where one simple change will make a big difference. Switch to FNB, Bank of the Changeables.
Make the mood in the all-new Renault Kaiga with multi-sense modes.
Thank you very much to everybody on Word of Mouth. Always great to hear from entrepreneurs around the country and all the stuff they're doing. Please make a note to support them in case you're interested in their services. Also remember, keep engaging with us. We've been sending you some questions about how your 2021 has been, what your plans are for 2022. Keep sharing. If you're on YouTube and Facebook Live, you will do that through the comments section at IAAESA on Twitter, hashtag IAAE Summit, and the Data Free Stream, sending us a WhatsApp 078-3500-768. Of course, especially as we talk about the next feature, which will be the main man, Theo himself. Up next is something that we do with every single one of our summits. We call it the Blue Chair. And as a young man who's been doing amazing things for many, many years, but I guess most of us only started really seeing it when we saw the products, the billboards, the social media feeds, the stores opening up. Wherever you are in this country, there is a Batu store near you. And you know exactly what I'm talking about, Mr. Theo Baloyi.
Hi, my name is Theo Baloyi. I'm the founder of Africa's premium sneaker brand, Batu. My journey in entrepreneurship began at an early age, while I was studying for my undergrad in BCom Accounting Sciences. I used to sell perfumes door to door in the streets of Alex, and I think that's where the entrepreneurial bug bit me. Obviously, it speaks to something completely that I'm doing now, and this journey has begun about 5 years ago when I was, traveling the world, and I had a passion for sneakers. And I think a big desire to really be of service to my community, and I think that's how I began my journey with Batu. Our biggest consideration during the pandemic was obviously, we are a business that is for people before profit. For number one, we went down to our people and really put methodologies together as to how we're going to sustain not only what we've built, but how we're going to keep on punching above the weight during the pandemic. And one of the biggest, I think, business units or mechanics around our business model that was not so well optimized was our e-commerce platform or omni-channel. So we thought about, how we're going to integrate our brick and mortar stores, most importantly, optimize our omni-channel and, striving to sustain the jobs that we've created over the years, and that was our biggest consideration in the business. And I think we've done pretty well, to sustain the business and make sure that everything else, within our components of our value chain speaks to each other, from our brick and mortar stores, our supply chain, and most importantly, our clients, In the last year, our approach to customer have changed because we are a brand that is really, I think, aggressive in communicating our brand promise. But now, when we're in the pandemic, we really had to think a lot about our consumer. And this is the consumer that might have experienced a lot of challenges during the pandemic. So the approach changed a little bit from just being a lifestyle brand, but trying to be more of an inclusive brand, inclusive as to what is our consumer and our clientele, going through, and how do we show up as brand during these difficult times for our consumer and make sure that we walk this journey with our consumer. And that has changed from the different offerings that we would normally offer during or before the pandemic, So during the pandemic, there's a lot of offerings that had to sort of be inclusive as
to what is our consumer going through and how do we make sure that we walk this journey with our consumer who's probably just going through a lot. The hardest lesson that I've learned over the last 2 years was, with growing a startup, it's really growing with the people, especially with the history of our business, where we started in a room in Alex and having to really scale my business to corporatize it and grow with the people that we've started with. And most importantly, having that skill and approach to really get the right people in the bus, and not only in the bus, but also put them in the right seats. That has been the toughest challenge, and especially in the dynamics of a sector, retail sector that is changing on a daily basis. So that has been the hardest thing to do, to not only sustain this business that I've started, but really make sure that we adapt to the economies of scale, to adapt to where the global economy is going as well. So we overcame that challenge by really, engaging our team and really being vulnerable at times with our consumers and being vulnerable with, our leadership team to say, this is the strategy that we had 5 years ago, but times have changed. The economy has changed so much. The consumer that we are trying to sell that vision to has also changed so much. We came up with a brand promise and approach that is very much inclusive, and we've managed to work together as a team and to achieve and overcome that challenge. I prepared myself mentally into getting 22 by obviously understanding the retail sector and the landscape of retail even better, and the dynamics that are really, going to come to play in the next, 5-10 years. And this is across the continent, because we are a brand that has, I think, done very well in South Africa, but we are preparing ourselves to penetrate, Africa, and starting with SADC region and going to East and West Africa as well. And the dynamics, they are completely different from the dynamics of retail in South Africa or SADC region, So we've sort of equipped ourselves by going to the right seminars and having the right stakeholders in that part of the region that are going to help elevate, and not only elevate, but amplify our brand, to that specific consumer in that part of the continent. The best decision that I've made this year as an entrepreneur was to go back to our people, and I'm talking about the people that have supported us over the last 5 years, the people that have bought Batu, the people that have advocated for our brand, and go back and give back in a meaningful way. And I think the best thing that we've ever done as a brand was to launch our CSI project, which is the Batu for Batu Care project, and going back and really trying to build that sustainable change in the community and walk the journey with our future leaders. I think that is one thing that as a brand we've done right and has helped, grow our business in a lot of ways. We've been a B2C business for the longest of time, but post that, CSI project, we've seen our B2B model growing and growing a nice portfolio. And I think that was the best decision that we've made as a brand or as a business. I would give the following 3 tips to a budding entrepreneur: that, you need to have your intentions clear. Number 1, it's very important to really understand what is it that you're trying to do, to understand, the commercial aspect of what you're trying to do, how you're going to monetize that idea and be able to scale it. And you need to be able to, number 2, to identify your consumer and really put the right product and the right service in the face of your consumer, and understanding what that product or service is going to help, impact change or add value to that consumer. If you can clearly, communicate that USP to your consumer, you will be able to commercialize, you will be able to scale, you will be able to build your business. And I think number 3, we as Africans have been, I think, at the receiving end for the longest of time. It's about time that we as Africans, we embody our heritage, we embody our culture, we embody, that uniqueness into ecosystems, into value chains, even possible, products and services that the rest of the world can receive, and we can export, our heritage to the rest of the world.
Well, you've heard from the man, Theo Baloyi, in studio with me, founder, CEO of Batu. And we're, of course, talking about the year that was 2021 and plans for 2022. He's in a competitive industry, so he can't tell us all his plans. Otherwise, all the other competitors are going to be listening onto this interview. But we will try and get into his head about how he's navigated what was a tough year for many entrepreneurs and what the lessons may have been with COVID-19 and all the other challenges we had in the year. My brother, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for the invite.
We finally can meet in person.
Finally. We're doing it properly now.
We're doing it properly now. We've tried to do this for so long, but COVID-19 has been difficult. In fact, it's a great way to segue into your experience. This lockdown, this kind of minimalistic movement. The past few years, you've been opening stores across the country, which kind of require people to go there.
Yeah.
Yes, you got the online platform, but how has COVID-19 and the restriction on just humans moving and interacting affected your business, and how have you recovered from it?
I like that you mentioned that because I'm a brand business, you know what I mean? I sell shoes, and I'm trying to build this brand, and really I rely on people to buy the shoes. Yeah. And I don't necessarily sell to a consumer who needs shoes. You know, I'm selling to a Theo who's looking for a cool factor, who wants to go out, look fresh, you know, and be trendy, right? So the minute we go through alert level 5 of lockdown, you know, the consumer is not really excited to go and purchase a pair because there's actually nowhere to go. And that has sort of, you know, directly or indirectly an impact in my revenue and my business, you know. So, but we've managed to really entice the consumer in many meaningful ways, you know, engaging them on online platforms and making sure that we are there for them. We truly understand what they're going through during this COVID. You know, we are that brand that is for people and that walks the journey with our people and our clients included.
Now, the question of opening physical stores.
Yeah.
I find that very fascinating in a time where obviously online shopping is growing.
Yes.
And there's always this debate that we as Africans, how are we responding to the wave of online shopping that's happening around the world? You are multi-channel. I can buy my shoes online and I can go to a store.
Yeah.
The idea of signing leases in malls across the country could not have been an easier one. Why did you choose to do that when you could quite easily have just stayed online?
Yeah. So I think, you know, looking at what you just mentioned now, the consumers or African consumer, where they are, if they've got the infrastructure to really enjoy the shopping experience. Number 2 is that I'm an emerging brand. You know, it's not like I'm a well-established brand that is big, that everyone knows in the world, that they can trust, that the credibility is there, that they're familiar with the product. So you need to marry the two as to whether you're giving your clients an avenue or space to come and have the look and feel, because that's our consumers, right? And the beauty about being an emerging brand is that you can build simultaneously. I'm not a big retailer who's been known to be a brick and mortar, and now I need to tell my consumer to go online. So I can simultaneously tell my consumer to come in store, and while in store actually have an online experience, or go online and have the same experience that they will have in store as well, you know. So you can build the two I think avenues simultaneously. And I always say this, that I don't own them all, I just lease. You know, it's a term. Yeah, it expires. If we have to move, we move.
Got you. And one of the things that many people don't know about the Patu story is that you and I were trained to be as efficient as possible with the numbers.
Sure.
And many people that are very brand people tend to stay away from the logistics side of the business.
Yeah.
So many businesses like yourself would outsource that type of stuff and employ somebody to do it.
For sure.
You have decided to create jobs and hire that directly.
Yeah.
Which coldly, I would say you've asked for a headache. Why?
I think, you know, I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I'm a product of opportunity, right? So from having lived in Alex, being awarded 100% bursary, working for PwC, not only in South Africa, but in the UAE, being seconded there. And I think, you know, I oftentimes, and I was mentored by great people, you know, in the journey. So oftentimes when I went back to my mentors and said, hey, man, I just want to thank you for all the help, the opportunities and so forth, even the partners at the firm, you know, they've often said, you know, man, we don't want anything from you, you know, just pay it forward. So for the longest of time, I've been thinking about how do I pay it forward? I've got a passion for sneakers. All the time when I go back home in Alex, I could see that the reality, the economy, you know, people are unemployed. People have lost hope. So between my passion and this desire to reignite hope and really inspire people and build with our people, you know, so I married the two and started Patu.
Wow. And then the decision to manage that many people, make sure they're following the same culture, especially in a time where we're back at work, we're not back at work, there's lockdown, there's no lockdown. How do you keep the culture consistent? Because for a lot of people that interact with the business, you know, you see it in the store.
Yep.
And you see it on your very extensive social media presence.
Yeah.
How do you make sure that's in the many people that you employ?
I think it's number one, authenticity.
Yeah.
So in our approach, whether it's brand promise, whether it's our strategy, you know, we are building a brand that is authentic, number one. It's authentic to our stakeholders. It's authentic to our clientele. It's authentic to our employees. So we're not trying to replicate something that is foreign to us.
Yeah.
It's a story that resonates with a lot of people. And it's a story that, you know, it's a business that was started in front of a lot of people. You know, I used to pack the boxes in front of, you know, everyone at ECAS. You know, put it in the boot of my car and go sell. So they've seen me building this business. It's not a PR story, you know what I mean? And now we are in this amazing headquarters and you're trying to build this brand, they know how we've built it. So I think the culture is about that. I'm very authentic in my approach. I'm willing to learn from the team. I'm willing to learn from everyone, you know. So I think the culture just runs from that, because it's not a story that we read on the books or PR. It's a story that we inclusively, as a collective, we've built, and a brand that we've built collectively.
And as you say, it's all about authenticity. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. We've got our man Theo Baloyi here in studio talking about the journey of Patu. But after this break, we're now going to talk about the year that was 2021. I want to ask him, if somebody had to have a beer with him, sit across him and go, how has 2021 been? What does Theo say? Stay tuned.
Mensa vandag on the show, we are talking about living online. Brother Jay, tell us more.
Yes, we are still here, living on the line in a queue. Talk to us, Mazi. Answer.
It's my boss, and I've been here for almost an hour, and all I want to do is just talk to my bank about a loan.
Mazi, what are we doing now?
I don't know.
Why don't you just switch to FNB?
What?
Yes, and then you can talk to a team of bankers 24/7 right here on the FNB app via secure chat.
Serious?
I'm telling you, you can even find out how much you may qualify for within minutes and apply for a loan right here on the FNB app.
Dango mntakababa. Toodaloos, goodbye.
Toodaloos and goodbye.
Salangena. Yeah? One simple change makes a big difference. No manini, no magupi. Switch to FNB, Bank of the Changeables.
Seeing my product in the shop, it makes me want to do more. I went into the veggie department. There was an old lady pushing a trolley, and she went there. She took the packet of green beans. She looked at it. She says, no, I want 1532. Where is 1532 here? Because I bought it last time. It was so nice. And I was just close to her, and she didn't know that it was my green beans. Then I was so excited about it. She left the other one and go. Really, this is a true story. I've seen it with my real eye. Before I had my own farm, I was a foreman around Hazelview. While I was working at the fresh produce there, we had a shortage of spinach. I took that advantage and went home and started planting out of a backyard. I've started to supply my previous employee. A lot of hard work, yes. I've managed to save some money while I was working there, because the money for the spinach that I was selling while I was there, all that money to come and buy a farm. Shop right into Shile Kudu or Kebeliona on board, because supply kanako and each year stock saga akakam kaso. Over the last 10 years, I've supplied Freshmark with over 1 million packets of green beans. We pack only the nice green beans. So all those broken one and the skew one, we give it to the orphanage. They say that the hands that gives is the one that receives a lot of blessing.
Make the mood in the all-new Renault Kaiga with multi-sense modes.
Welcome back, ladies and gents. We continue our conversation with Theo. Remember, if you want to join us and share your thoughts, questions, anything you got for him, comment section on YouTube and Facebook, and on Twitter at IAESA. Listen to me, at IAESA. And the hashtag is IAAE Summit. And on the WhatsApp line, 07835000768. Theo, sitting across the bar, you and I having a drink. How was 2021 for you?
Sure. I think I always say that it was a tough year, but I think we as a business, we're very blessed, you know, to have built a business that...
What was hard?
I think everything, just sustainability, you know? everything, just sustaining the business, and still trying to strive and achieve the vision, you know what I mean? Because The dynamics of retail, this year were hectic. It was very flexible. So many things happened. I mean, from we had to go back to the leases that we signed a few years ago, try to make them compatible to where trade is and what's really happening in the country, as well, and trying to sustain the jobs, because our mission is to create sustainable jobs and reignite hope. And how do we, in the middle of the pandemic, still do that, And, when I look back now, 113 jobs created in 2021 alone, in a business. So I'm grateful to have not only built the business, but also sustain it and still push and steer for that growth.
And when you look back at the lessons of 2021 with all the difficulties, I guess the one thing that we've now learned to deal with, whether we are lucky or unlucky, is uncertainty. I mean, COVID-19, it's so hard to plan. Do you even plan? I mean, how do you manage the fact that there's so much we don't know? But at the same time, you still have to have plans. How do you deal with that?
It's very difficult, because your plans also are impacted negatively or positively by what's happening in the country, lockdown and all of that, But I try to be intentional in my approach and strategic, and really the numbers guy kicks in all the time as to and it helps me a lot as to how do we actually, make sure that we still contribute to the bottom line. One of the amazing things that we've done is that, and I think I mentioned it as well, was that we were a B2C business for the longest of time. That's how we've built our business. So I had to find ways to really generate more revenue, quicker, efficient, and contribute to the bottom line and still deliver the same brand promise. And one thing that we've done, which we've been very, I think, blessed to grow in the business, was our B2B model. We've had a lot of corporates coming in the business and actually doing collaborations and contribute a lot to our bottom line. So I had to do that. And also, you're dealing with people. People are going through a lot. And I often say that people are creatures of emotion. So whether I'm employed or not, but if I'm going through something, it's really difficult for me to bring my best to the table. Absolutely. You know what I mean? So I made sure that our human capital, our business unit really embodies that element, and make sure that we keep on motivating our people, and we are there with our people. We are walking the journey with our people.
The pivoting into corporate, has led to me being a direct beneficiary.
Sure.
So these shoes.
Yes.
I was playing the PCX Super Sport Shooter, the golf tournament.
Yeah.
You obviously know, because the customer, right?
Yeah, they're customer.
And I rock up there, they said, no, you can personalize your party shoes. I'm like, Theo, now you are there, it's golf events.
Think about it. If it would probably take me, I don't know how long, 2 weeks maybe to get like 30,000 pairs sold. But if Absa comes and says, hey, bro, we need X amount of pairs, it's a direct transaction, it's quicker, it's efficient, and I can get my returns and reinvest quicker.
That is smart. So maybe that's the accountant waits.
That
bean counting wasn't a total waste.
Sure.
All right, man. Couple of questions I have for you. You talked about collaborations with brands. Mpumelelo Lindani Mkhunu on YouTube as a question for you. What are your requirements for Batu to collaborate with another business or another brand?
We actually, obviously, we do have a CI, in the business and brand process that we follow to do collaborations. But we are looking for, I think, simple things, or things that are really clear. Number one, aligning with our brand promise, aligning with our values, and really trying to get that, commerciality out of, that collaboration to see
so
how
it must make commercial sense.
It must make commercial sense, and see how it best benefit both parties. Yeah.
Okay. Next question. Coming from Bali Shabalala here in Joburg. Congratulations on the success of your business, Theo. How many businesses did you have before this one? Were they as successful as the Batu brand?
Yeah. I think I was very fortunate. My journey, like I said, I'm a product of opportunity. So when I was studying for my undergrad, I used to sell perfumes door to door cars. So I had a perfume business that did really, really, really well. But it died because I had to go into corporate and start my articles and all of that, right? So I had to focus on corporate. But that was a blessing in disguise, because corporate blessed me with so much that I use now in Batu, So after that, the perfume business died out. I worked at PwC for 5 years, started Batu, and it became the business that it is. So I only had one business, which was also a great success. It just that it failed because I didn't give it the focus and the time. But I ticked all the boxes in that perfume business because it was a great success. So I only had one business, which obviously died because I was in corporate. I didn't give it the focus. Gotcha. Then went on back to entrepreneurship and started Batu, and it became the business that it is.
Gotta squeeze one more question, man. Tulani is asking an important question, especially in your segment. He says, there are so many imitators coming up right now. so many local sneaker brands. He's throwing shade at some people. We won't say anything. What's your advice for someone like me who's feeling a little despondent because I feel like the market is being saturated? It doesn't have to be sneakers, but just starting something in a place that feels saturated and still succeeding. I would argue sneakers were saturated before you came still.
100%. Let me tell you a story. So when I started Batu, I did about 18 months of research and development, proof of concept, and all of that, right, behind the scenes. One of the findings that I found was that we've got about 7 continents in the world, and each and every continent, if you look closely, they've got a fair presentation of a footwear brand. You know, South America, Havanians, I think Havanians and Ipanema, and then you look at, you know, the States, Nike, Full Knight, Under Armour, Kevin Plank, a lot of European shoe brands, Adidas, Puma, and all of that, many Italian footwear brands. But when you come to Africa, you know, we don't have a footwear brand that, you know, represents us. Footwear brand that represents us in terms of market share, brand promise. We can even take it further to CSI. None whatsoever, right? Yet there's billions and billions of US dollars that leave Africa, you know, through sneakers and go to the other parts of the world.
That's where you saw the opportunity.
That's where I saw the opportunity to say we need to have a presentation of, you know, an African sneaker brand. And what I'm saying is that with everyone coming up after Batu, it's great because it's part of the vision. I said we don't have. So, I mean, if South America and many other regions can have a lot of brands, why can Africa have more? You know, why can we have Batu? Why can we have Drip? Why can we have Landlords? Why can we have many others? The market is big enough for all of us to play in it.
Got you,
right?
man.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to wrap up with a comment from Sinotando Ndelu. Sinotando says, 2021 must be renamed the year of Batu.
Really?
There we go.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for my guest, Mr. Theo Baloyi, founder of Batu, an amazing entrepreneur, trained as an accountant, but always been an entrepreneur. A man who says, I was a beneficiary of opportunity. And it isn't that what life is all about. But one of the things that he has done is that he's built what I would call a purpose-led brand. Now, on this next feature, we are talking only about the value of purpose-led brands.
The question that absolutely caught my attention is the question that asks, is there a correlation between purpose-driven brands and local and African birth products? And that question was asked by Mpho Odette Mashiko. I thought, what a superb question, because what is happening now is we are now seeing how all of us now are beginning to think insular. We are now thinking into our countries, into our cultures, into where we are. The reason a brand like Maxhosa will succeed, for example, is because it is a brand that from a purpose point, it says, how do I retain and maintain and promote our culture and use that responsibly to tell the story of who we are as people? And and also create jobs here in the country. That's purpose-driven. That's purpose-driven. Because a brand like Maxhosa is protecting the culture as well as protecting the jobs. Or a brand like Tepo Jeans, so whatever, all those brands which are made and inspired by our local needs, as well as creating opportunities and jobs to retain the profits in the country to meet that purpose. Purpose is understanding we need to build this country together. Purpose is about understanding that whatever profits we make needs to be shared. It's that concept of shared value. We do well when you do well.
We do well when you do well. Thank you very much, Tebe, for that pearl of the hustle. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are at the end of our summit, our final one for the year. It's been a very challenging economic environment in 2021. The world has gone through an absolute pandemic that continues to affect us until today. We do, however, need to stand back, take stock of the year that has been, and reflect honestly on the challenges that we have faced, how we've handled them, and most importantly, how we've learned and what is it that we've actually learned and improved from there. 2022 offers us a new opportunity. Let's make sure we take a break, we recharge, and then we plan as much as we can, because if there's anything that COVID-19 has taught us, is that we must remain flexible, because things can change and can change very, very quickly. It has been a great year of learning and growth here at IAAE, and I want to thank you for joining us every single month this year. I also want to thank everybody that has contributed to IAAE this year. I'm talking about the entrepreneurs, I'm talking about the therapists, I'm talking about the bankers, the teams out of FNB. Thank you all so much. Then I want to thank the team at I'm an Entrepreneur. There's a whole team behind these cameras that you guys don't see. A lot of work gets done in the background by a team that is actually led by ladies, okay? So I get bossed around only by ladies, which is a lot of fun, I must tell you. It's a great perk of my job. And I want to thank every single one of you guys for doing the work that you do, always being on time, sending the scripts, editing the scripts, the auto cues, the cameras, the edits, the people who drive around and shoot all these entrepreneurs. I really want to thank you so much. I love you all, and I can't wait to work with you to 2022 and beyond. I also want to give a special thanks to FNB. Now, FNB and us have been in this marriage for a long time now. By all accounts, it will continue into the future. I want to thank FNB, the most innovative bank, my only bank that I have in my life, and I can see why. Because they can see visions such as these. Just to be the ability to travel this journey, to be able to empower all the entrepreneurs out there, I really appreciate it. I want to thank Reno. I call them my day ones because they've been driving us around the country. And who knows, with COVID, hopefully tapering off and hopefully the virus not being as aggressive as perhaps in the past, maybe we can now travel the country and get to see you guys again in our Reno vehicles. And I want to thank ShopRite. You know, being the biggest retailer in the country, on the continent, it is so important the work that you do by giving access to entrepreneurs. All those stories that we see in our ad breaks of all the small businesses that are in the ShopRite shelves, I really want to thank you because you don't only talk about it, but you are about it. And thank you so much for doing that. From me, Andile Khumalo, nothing gives me greater joy than working on I'm an Entrepreneur. Kitumetse runs the business and she bosses me around every time she needs me. I actually look forward to it because this is the love job. This is the thing that fulfills me in so many ways. And it's been an absolute pleasure to be your host this year. And hopefully we'll see each other again soon. Please have an enjoyable festive season. Please stay safe and make sure that we still see each other in 2022. And from me to you, I'm looking forward to a bigger and brighter 2022. Goodbye, have fun, stay safe.
We have two business owners, Karabo and Temba, who've come on the show today to find out from our panel of business bozzers whose bank is keeping things real.
Temba, what does your bank cost your business?
You see, I pay R5 for the account and about R500 for the payment device.
And you, Karabo? Well, with FNB, their app turns my phone into a payment device, so our customers pay us on the spot. I also get Mahala Charge, unlimited card swipes, and a free business savings account that allows me to set aside money from my main account for future projects. Oh, and we can also withdraw money for petty cash at no extra cost from a Checkers and other retailers.
And the monthly account fee?
0 monthly account fee. That's why it's called First Business Zero.
Well, it looks like we've got a winner, ladies and gentlemen. It's obvious which bank keeps the costs low while running your business or even just starting up. One simple change makes a big difference. Switch to FNB, Bank of the Changeables.
The I Am an Entrepreneur Summit is brought to you in association with FNB and our partners.